Grand rising, grand arrival, grand return. Peace and blessings to the righteous and the repentant alike. I am Chief Sophia of the Americana Band of Indians, and this is a very, I don't know what to say. I have a video that I'm working on that's going to really explain how um, this matrix came into being. And I'll just do a synopsis here. That way, when I make the video, I won't go into this preview of what I'm gonna talk about. I'll just be able to get into the information. So let's call this a introduction to Sun Wukong, okay? And okay, I've talked about Sun Wukong before in relation to Shi Wang Mu. Shi Wang Mu is the Jade Empress. Also, I would call her the name actually means the Queen Mother of the West. Okay, and this is the story of Dinah, and Dinah actually married Job, who is the Jade Emperor in the Chinese pantheon. So, if you want to see more of Job's story, you look at all of the information regarding the Jade Emperor. This is why, me personally, I am not opposed to burning ancestor money with the Jade Emperor on it, because the Jade Emperor is Job. And Job was always from the line of Esau. And so I've seen people that have ancestor money with our people on it, but Job is one of our people because he married Dinah. So I know that some people are into that kind of stuff. I just thought I would put my 2 cents in there, because if you did any research, you would understand the Jade Emperor is Job, and Job is one of our people because he married Dinah, if for no other reason. He's the testament of Job is in the book of the 12 patriarchs. So how can you, anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I just wanted to put that out there. But Shi Wang Mu, who is Dinah, okay, this is Dinah's story. Remember, I also said that the Tao Te Ching is the divine right of it's called the Tao Te Ching. It's by Lei Sao, and it is the divine right of kings. Any leader who wants to be quote unquote immortal has to be able to implement the Tao Te Ching. And we read the Tao Te Ching 2 years ago. So if you haven't read it, go and listen to it, download it. It's pretty short. And then there's another one that's the Bogar 7000. That's 7,000 lines of text, which we didn't even really get into, but I may as well mention it. So there's more text in that line of thinking that we have yet to explore. But we need to talk about Sun Wukong, okay? Sun Wukong is the antagonist in the story of the Journey to the West. And the Journey to the West is where you find the story of Dinah as Shi Wang Mu and the Buddha and all of this. But really, the Journey to the West is the story of Sun Wukong. It's his origin story. But in order to understand his origins, you have to go into the Vedic text, because Sun Wukong was an ascended master. Now, most of the time when you think of ascended masters, you think they're positive. Now, I just said he's the antagonist. He is not a positive character. How do we get a Sun Wukong as an antagonist in the story of the Journey to the West? The only way he can be an antagonist is if he was once a hero. And so if you look at the story of Hanuman, okay, so this is an ape-shaped entity, okay? He takes the shape of an ape. If you look at the story of Hanuman, in the Vedic text, Hanuman was an ascended master. He is the one who was running around with Shiva and them. But basically, Hanuman was, at the end of Hanuman's story, after he became an ascended master, he became basically, I would say he became an antagonist to Shiva or Vishnu, one of them, right? I haven't really gotten to the whole story because I probably need to get into that. So, but we will in the story, okay? Because I already have everything pulled up. But this is just supposed to be a synopsis, okay? So, Sun Wukong in his Hanuman form is the one that became the ascended master. Then he left India and came to China. And when he came to China, that's when he became Sun Wukong. And what he did in China was basically go around, gather all of their highest knowledge, everything about how they worked out there in China. And essentially, he took that knowledge and used it to terrorize the Buddha. Now, remember, the Buddha is an ascended master too, but he's in the ascended master line of Jesus, okay? And so he's a positive ascended master. So this let me say this about ascended masters. This is why you have to be sure of who is working with you in your spirit team. I just told you that Sun Wukong is an ascended master. This is not a positive ascended master. This is a negatively polarized ascended master. So you could indeed, and most of you all do, have this negative ascended master in your energy field. And I kept saying, to people, this particular individual that I knew, that an ascended master was in her, somebody was in her energy that was not positive. And now I understand that's because there are negative ascended masters. And I've got a bunch of them now that, once you look, when you seek, you'll find. And I found a lot more than I was really prepared for. So Sun Wukong had become a aesthetic, and he was under, one of these ascended masters in China. He learned everything about how they operate, and then basically he turned completely evil. And what happened was the Buddha had to put him as a punishment for the things that he had done. This is before he even got involved with Shi Wang-Mu, aka Dinah, and the Jade Emperor, aka Job, and whatever. This is before he even got involved with them, because I'm going to tell that story. I've told it before, but I'm going to tell it again. Before he even got involved with them, the Buddha had put him underneath of a mountain for 500 years. Okay, 500 years he put him underneath a mountain. The only way he got from underneath that mountain, in my assessment, is that a demon, Onoskelis, who we talk about in relation to Solomon, basically, Onoskelis is the one that Solomon commanded to weave. But if you look at Onoskelis' story, she was a demon who slept in caves. Now, I just told you they put Sun Wukong underneath a mountain, like underneath the mountain. And Onoskelis was found in caves. So caves are in mountains. So she probably helped him escape. This is just a story I'm putting together. I don't have no definitive proof of this yet. But Sun Wukong and Onoskelis, and remember, Onoskelis is basically the carrier entity of the Jezebel spirit. She is the quote unquote succubus, incubus, whatever that everybody is always talking about. That's Onoskelis. And she particularly attacks black men. Now, why is this important? Because women, let me finish the thing about black men. She specifically attacks black men. How does she do this? Because she has a big giant butt. Okay, she's very shapely with a big butt. She has a horse face though, or something like that, so she has to wear a lot of makeup. This describes countless number of women in the entertainment industry. You take your pick, okay? They're working with Onoskelis. All right, so back to Sun Wukong. So that's his female counterpart. Now, why do he have to have a female counterpart? Now, in the story, The Journey to the West, they never mention a female, but I know there's a female because Sun Wukong is he was created by the Amun priesthood. Now, we talk about the Amun priesthood in relation to the Melchizedek priesthood because that's who they worship. But there was a high priest of Amun who they actually was the one that was responsible for providing the sacrifices to Amun. And there was also, Amun had a consort, and the consort name was Amunet. And so Sun Wukong assumed that position of high priest of Amun with his consort Onoskelis for Amunet. That's how there's always a male and a female. These stories are ridiculous unless you find the female that goes along with them. Okay, you can't have a story without, because all of this is about sex, 100%. There's no if, ands, or buts about it, 1,000%. And so, okay, now we have that foundation. So, what happened next? And the reason why Sun Wukong, we know that he is the high priest of Amun, is because Amun and Amunet are both. No, Amun is blue. Amunet is not blue. Amun is blue, and when you're blue, that means you're black. And if you're black, that means, you're an ascended master, the way that they actually have their stories. For whatever reason, that's how their stories are told. Amunut is not black, though. So that's how I know Onoskelis is the high priestess of Amunet. So this would be the witch covens. All these people are working with Anuskelis. Onoskelis is the high priestess of Amunet, okay? And then you have Sun Wukong as the high priest of Amun, and Amun priesthood is the same thing as the Melchizedek priesthood. Okay, so now to the story of the journey to the west with Shi Wang Mu. So that part of the story. So you have Shi Wang Mu, who is Dinah. All right, she has this orchard with all of these peaches. There's some 3,000 year peaches, 9,000 year peaches, and 12,000 year peaches. Okay, whenever Sun Wukong finally gets from under the mountain with the help of Onoskelis and some other demons, I'm sure. He comes from underneath the mountain, and Job gives him a job, and Job gives him the job of guarding the garden. Okay, the garden where these peaches are. Sun Wukong finds out that these peaches are ripe, and so he basically eats every single peach in the garden. Not all of them. He eats all of the 9,000 year peaches. It's really specific. He eats all the 9,000 year peaches. He eats all of them. They only bloom every 9,000 years. Okay. He eats all of them, and he transforms himself into a peach, and he is sitting in the basically he's sitting in the thing, pretending to be the peach. So when Shi Wang Mu's helpers go to gather the peaches, they find out that all of these peaches are gone and the one peach is left. They go to pick it, and it's Sun Wukong. And so he gets irate and starts yelling at them. Why are you here? What are you doing? You're not supposed to be doing this. I'm guarding this area. What's wrong with you? He literally becomes irate. And then they're like, wait a minute. What happened to all the peaches? And he's like, oh, bye, see you later. And he runs off. In the process, he finds out that they're having this party, right? So they're preparing for this party, and he finds out about it. And so then he gets mad. What do you mean to tell me they didn't invite me to this party? So he meets a traveler on the road, which I think the traveler he meets on the road is Jesus. That's a whole nother thing. And so, but it's important because he sends the traveler in a different direction and takes on the form of the traveler. That's why I think the traveler is Jesus, because that's why, because he meets a man who's dressed in plain clothes. They describe this person as an actual man dressed in clothing on the road. He talks to the man, takes his invitation, and goes off to the party back at the orchard where he just ate all the peaches. He gets to the party. He goes completely irate and drinks too much, starts acting crazy, and tries to get out of there before the Jade Emperor, aka Job, shows up and kicks him out. Now, I've just told you the story. This does not sound like a black person who didn't get invited. I mean, this is what happens. They get irate, they go into the party, especially men, and they start acting crazy. Now, what party was this? See, this is the thing. This is how I tied it into the whole thing. If you know about the timeline of Jesus, right? He went into the tomb on, let's say he went into the tomb on a Friday, right? at 3 p.m. And 33 hours later, he emerges from the tomb. Now, wherever this, don't get me lying, the time is different. Okay? So when he goes down into the tomb, remember the tomb is in a mountain. It's in a mountain, it's in a cave. So he goes down into the cave where Sun Wukong has been holding all of these people. And we can come back to that part of the story because it's a little bit complicated, but that's what I think happened. I think Jesus went down because he was already buried in a cave into the mountain where they were holding Sun Wukong, and he freed all the people that Sun Wukong was basically holding down there. That's the ones he freed. Okay, those were the souls that he freed, literally freed from the bottom of the mountain because he was buried in a mountain. Okay, all right. And so after he comes back up, he's on the earth for a few days. I think 40. No. He's on the earth for 7 days, and then he has to go back down for the wave sheaf offering. I think that party that Dinah was holding, Shi Wang Mu, was the wave sheaf offering party. And that's what Jesus had to attend, was the wave sheaf offering party that Dinah was holding, in order to complete this ritual to free humanity from this suffering that we've been going through. And so when Sun Wukong interrupts him on the road, I'm not sure that offering was made properly because Sun Wukong goes to the party instead. He wrecks everything. And basically, I'm not sure they really had the party. So I think that's why Jesus came back, and then he's like, okay, let's continue with the plan. Because I have talked many times about how this plan that was set up, it just kept getting messed up every time you turn around. First of all, Judas was supposed to give Jesus away for free, and he charged. Then he runs into this ape-man, Sun Wukong, on the side of the road, and he's like, oh, you're not going in the right way for the party, go this way. He takes the form of Jesus, goes to the party and messes everything up. Of course, people realize that it's not Jesus there, so then that's a whole thing. Jesus goes back, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to send the comforter. The comforter will help you. So then they send the comforter, but then this whole story gets messed up. And now people think that the Holy Spirit is a Holy Ghost. And somehow, instead of being a woman, it's a man. And instead of being the sun, even though all the iconography has the sun around the heads of the people, they think it's something else. You know what I mean? So every single step along the way, this plan just got more and more messed up. So what can Sun Wukong do? And this is why I say I do believe Sun Wukong is this homeboy Jesus that's supposed to come pick them up, that they're waiting for. I believe that Sun Wukong is these black aliens, these ape-like alien entities. Sun Wukong is an ape, okay? He's an ape. So yes, I do believe that these ape entities, all of them, maybe not all of them, because we have the Hanuman version of him, but the Hanuman version doesn't have as much power as the Sun Wukong version. The Sun Wukong version, I can't even list out all the things he can do. I don't have it pulled up, but he can multiply himself to infinity because he can pluck a hair off his body and create copies of himself. Okay, that's, again, he would have given that power to Onoskelis. That's why you have all these women out here who look exactly the same, who act the same, who have the same weird behavior. Those are just copies, okay, of Hanuman, that Hanuman gave to Onoskelis so she could do that power, okay? Sun Wukong he has this great big armor that he wears that's diamond coated and it protects him. Well, in the story of David, when he was fighting the Philistines, they go into extreme detail about the coat of armor that the Philistine was wearing and the fact that another person was carrying the shield. That's because the Philistines worship Sun Wukong. And that was them calling on their quote unquote Elohim, which it says in the scripture. The Philistines called on their Elohim to come and protect them. They were calling on Sun Wukong. Okay, the stories all are interrelated. They're not, you can't separate them out. There is no time when you're dealing with this realm. They can do whatever they want. And so that's what's going on. Okay, what else could Sun Wukong do? He can, I already said he can copy himself. I already said that he has this armor. He can, it's like 8 or 10 things that he can do. And when I do the full video, I'll go through each one. But imagine, this is what this power is that these people have been using. And he got this power from Amun. And Amun, I do believe, is the blue dragon of the East, which is the wind. And that's another part of it, which I will go into. It's just kind of like a lot to try to put into a whole story, but that's what I believe happened. Like, it's Sun Wukong. These people who worship Homeboy Jesus, who are in these fraternities and these secret organizations and all of this stuff, they literally all worship Sun Wukong in one form or another. Do they know it's Sun Wukong? Probably not. More than likely not, because he's lying. But he's a prolific liar. He lies about everything. This is why I think he literally took the form of Jesus and pretended to be Jesus. So when they're calling on their Jesus, they're calling on Sun Wukong. And Sun Wukong feeds off of energy. 100%. Now, because he was not ever seen with a consort, this is why you have them doing all this weird gay sex and all of that stuff. Because Sun Wukong didn't like women. I don't think he liked anybody, but he specifically didn't like women. So he don't want people. He lived in the life of an aesthetic. And this is where in general, I say that kind of life is not good because it is out of balance, which is why in the Orthodox Church, a priest can get married. Most of the priests are married. Like, unless you take most of the priests are married in Orthodox Church. Roman Catholic Church, they don't do that. That's how you know they're working with Sun Wukong. Because Sun Wukong didn't like women. He didn't like women. But he had Ona Skelis there. He had no interest in her. He just used her to attack more men, basically. And it's not that he wasn't attacking the women. He just left the women to Ona Skelis to attack. He wasn't really getting involved with no women because he didn't like women. That's where all this gay stuff come from. All these people in this gay cult. And it's not that all gay people are in a gay cult. There's a difference. There's people who are gay, okay, who are that's just the way they are, whatever. And then there's people who are in a gay cult. These are people who were raped in, they were raped in, okay? There's people who are gay who have not been raped. 100%. 1000%. But there's a lot of people who were raped in. And so, yeah, that's kind of like what's going on here. So I just wanted to, so Sun Wukong, he is the one, he can shape himself into anybody. He can make infinite numbers of copies of himself. He is an ape person. So he's I do believe he is pretending to be an ET because that's where black people have gone into this whole extraterrestrial realm. So I believe he's just literally pretending to be the ETs. Like, I made a video saying these ETs better get it together. I don't think it was the ETs. I think it was Hanuman pretending to be the ETs. Which in that case, thanks for the information. I'm always willing to go wherever it goes, but I think that's what happened. I think the ETs are tired of, Hanuman pretending, even trying to copy them, because you do have some of our people who are legitimate contactees with these entities, and here you have Hanuman, because these people are not, their energy leaks all over the place. They're getting those images. He's getting an idea of what those images are, and he's literally just copying them. And again, those people too have to be very careful to vet out who's in their energy, and just trusting any of these entities because ... is not acceptable. Hanuman can actually take he has a thing that he can take and he can make it look like a spaceship. whatever it is that we need to believe the story, because he's a con man. He's a con man. He's trying to sell a story. He's trying to get the energy. He takes the energy and he uses it to keep himself alive. I do believe not Hanuman, I'm sorry. Sorry, Hanuman. Sun Wukong is the one who created the false matrix. And he is the one who is keeping it powered. And he needs the blood of women to keep it powered. Why? Because everything is about sex. Everything's about sex. If women would understand that, things would be much better, much faster. So we are going to go into straight up sexual astrology, just like PBR. This is what he was trying to do. And these people didn't want that, because they don't want you talking about sex in a positive manner because of how powerful it is. It's like it want everything to be super secretive, so you just, you're just afraid of it or whatever. They can shame you so they can use it to gather your energy. And we're just not going to let that continue on. So we're definitely going to continue to pioneer the stuff that PBR was talking about, because truth be told, he was actually correct. He was 100% correct. And so anybody who is using his stuff and is not putting it in the context of sex, then they don't understand what's going on. Because that's what it is. And not sex as in just straight up intercourse, but how the human female body even works. People don't even know how the earth body works. They don't get it. Like, I totally understand now. Like, I had made a comment the other day, or I've made it many times, that the earth produces more oil. Well, the earth is feminine. So when you take some of the oil out, that's just menstruation. Women menstruate every month and produce more blood. That's literally what we do. So if we're using the menstruation of the earth to power our cars, that's something that had to be used anyway, or it's just going to be wasted. Because what if you don't use your period blood for something, which I don't suggest. I'm not suggesting that, but I'm just saying, if you don't use your period blood for something, it just goes into the toilet or into a pad and it's gone. That's one way to use it, or you can use it to power our cars. The earth is always going to produce more blood. It has to, because it's menstruating. So we're going to go into all of that stuff from that perspective. But this thing with Sun Wukong is really important. Now, let me also mention the Greys, because how did these Grey, who I'm going to do another video about just them, they share one eye and one tooth. How do they get this eye, and how do they get this tooth? We know they get the eye from Odin. They got the eye from Odin. I believe they got the tooth from the Tooth Fairy. Now, I haven't gone into all of the history of that and where it came from and all of that, but I do believe they got the tooth from the Tooth Fairy, because that's what would make sense to me. Because there's another set of gods that have 100 teeth, 100 arms, 100 eyes. Like, it's just like, okay, and there's 3 of them too. So I believe that they got the tooth from the Tooth Fairy, whatever the Tooth Fairy really comes from, and they just steal it, and the Tooth Fairy stole someone's particular tooth for them, and that's the tooth that they share. This whole thing seems weird, and weirder by the day, but it makes way more sense than the stories that they've been telling. Like, if homeboy Jesus is Sun Wukong, that makes 1,000%, because what he didn't like women. But you could read in the Bible that Jesus clearly liked women. So this is why you have to, it's like, what's going on with the politics right now, like with the courts? People are filing court cases against Trump on things that were not said. They're not factual. And so they're just what the person is interpreting that he said, not what he actually said. Like the whole thing with Doge. They've been suing to keep Doge from doing their work. Meanwhile, Doge has been around since Obama, because Obama created the U.S. Digital Service. They just rebranded from the U.S. Digital Service to Doge. Somebody said from a 3-letter agency to a 4-letter agency. It's like, That's literally what happened. Like, uh, that's what happened. And so they're like, oh, he created a new agency. No, he didn't. They just the lawyers are deliberately filing court filings based on rumors, and that's a huge problem. But guess what? That's what Hanuman does. He is a liar. If you just, I mean, not Hanuman. I'm sorry, Hanuman. Sun Wukong. That's what Sun Wukong does. He is a liar. He will LARP in your energy, and he will pretend to be one of the other entities that you are supposed to work with. And the whole time, he is a freaking freak of nature ape who could never actually get a woman to look at him, even if he wanted. He could never engage in a proper sexually healthy relationship ever. And so, because he's an ugly ape man, okay, nobody wants him. Nobody wants him, and that's why they want us to believe as black women, oh, nobody wants y'all. Y'all look like apes. Do we? Because why he had to get a whole consort that he never consorted with to come and mess with us? That seems kind of stupid, don't it? That can sound. I mean, if you can do what you say you can do, why do you need to be messing with us? Why are you always attacking black women? Why not go attack somebody else's women? Why is it always us? Why is it always making us like look like something is wrong with us or act like something is wrong with us when we're just saying basic, simple, normal stuff? It's real crazy. So, Sun Wukong, that he is the priest, the high priest of Amun. He is, he is the creator of the false matrix. He is the one who is, LARPing in our energy. He is the one who is pretending to be Jesus, homeboy Jesus. He is the one that is he's the father of lies. He is literally Satan. Like literally the Satan that when Jesus was on the mountain and Satan came up and said, oh, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. That was Sun Wukong. The story makes way more sense when it's Sun Wukong, because then what? Jesus went down and took all of he said, Satan, get behind me. He said, Jesus sent Sun Wukong back under the mountain. That's Buddha did that, but Jesus did that too. You have the stories paralleling, as above, so below. On the micro scale is also on the macro scale. We have the stories on the micro scale, but they show up on the macro scale, and there are places where they are with more details. But again, you got to understand what you're looking at, and they're not. I don't think anybody else can do this. Honestly, I don't know how they could. I don't know. So yeah, Sun Wukong. That is the guy who is holding together the Matrix. Now, in the video that I make, we're going to talk about a ritual that they did with a beautiful child, where they took her life tragically to power this guy up and his Matrix. And basically, that is going to hugely backfire on them. They really need to leave our women alone. We need to have a nervous system reset, and we can never reset our nervous systems if we don't feel safe. And I will never feel safe as long as Sun Wukong is freely roaming the streets, doing whatever he wants, lying to everybody, and able to jump in and out of people's bodies whenever he gets ready. Because I had did a video talking about the things that the Cedars could do, and Sun Wukong could do all of them. That's what first tipped me off. I was like, wait a minute, he made himself small, he could make himself big, he could do this, he could do that. So yeah, this is Sun Wukong wreaking havoc on this planet, and he has to be neutralized. And if I have to do it by myself, that's fine, but it is going to cost. And so I've already said, like, to reset my nervous system, it's going to cost about $5 million. I can't do it without $5 million. So I don't know what's going to happen, but that's what I need to reset my nervous system. And everybody, it's not your price. I don't have a price, but to reset my nervous system, I know what it's going to take. So you have to know what it's going to take for you to reset your nervous system. And that's thing you need to be focused on, especially for this month of April. A lot of good things can happen with based on the celestial energy, but you have to really put it out there what you want. So me, I'm like, yeah, just to reset my nervous system is going to be about 5 million, because I have to feel safe. And the only way that I can feel safe is if I have a lot of stuff taken care of. I don't have to worry about it. If I have to worry about anything, then I cannot, my nervous system cannot reset. And I'm convinced now that's why, like, there's no reason why I shouldn't have lost more weight. But I can't lose weight because I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. And so there's nothing I can do about that. I've done all that I can do. In pursuit of my own personal safety. And as long as this guy, Sun WuKong, is running around with the Melchizedek priesthood and the Amun priesthood and all of these weird people, these demonic nine and these secret societies and their money and their wickedness, how could I ever feel safe? How could our, our Mother Earth ever feel safe enough to produce fruit and when you got this guy running around like this? And so I hope this is the first step in binding him. I don't know what that's going to look like, what it's going to take, or anything like that. I just want to put it out there that he needs to be removed. And hopefully we're starting this new cycle. I mean, I got an idea, but, you know, I always got an idea. I got an idea because there is something that you can do to bind him, but I don't know what we would have to do to actually get that done. So, we're just going to wait and see how this plays out. But so this was just a quick video. I got a longer video. It's probably going to be like 2 hours. Now that I've told this story and it took 36 minutes, it's probably going to be a 2-hour video. But we're hot on his trail. And we do have a method of binding him. And so that's what we're going to do. So shalom, peace and blessings, and we'll see you in the next video.